With the exception of Shakespeare, there's no other British writer the world is more enduringly obsessed with than Charles Dickens. From being credited with creating Christmas as we know it, to having a theme park built in his honour in Kent, to having Disney create yet another movie version of one of his classic books. Nearly 140 years after his death, he's the ghost of box office past, present and yet to come. The South Dickens Trail begins at this modest house in Portsmouth, now surrounded by a modern housing estate. John Dickens was a Navy pay clerk and his son Charles was born in a bedroom here on the 7th of February 1812. Dickens was only 3 when his family moved from here. Even so, the small museum the house has become is a place of literary pilgrimage.
Of course, he dealt with themes, humanitarian themes, that are still with us. When you think about binge drinking, it's in Dickens. When you think of the evil effects of drink, it's in many of Dickens's novels. Financial mismanagement, fear of debt, financial ruin. We still have these problems today.
It's that sense of enduring relevance in the Dickens themes that drew the makers of the new animated movie version of A Christmas Carol to it. Ironically, the book was not one of Dickens' bestsellers when he wrote it in just 2 weeks in 1843. One of the stars is Colin Firth, a man like Dickens with his own youthful connections to the south.
I lived in Alresford, went away again, came back, lived in Winchester, went to school, Winchester, Eastleigh. So yeah, a lot of time spent in Hampshire.
What do you think it is about Dickens' stories that makes them so enduring?
They all seem to go into terrible darkness, whether it's, Oliver Twist's upbringing or David Copperfield's upbringing. There's usually brutality on the way. And there's usually transformation, my 2 favourites really are this and Tale of Two Cities, which are about, apparently hopeless characters who redeem themselves in a way that's, tear-jerking, heartwarming and euphoric.
What was wonderful about Mr. Dickens' novel is how stylized everything is that he wrote, how hyper-real even the characters are. With the digital cinema, we now have a tool where we can actually present the landscape and the characters the way Mr. Dickens originally envisioned them.
I think Dickens would have been absolutely thrilled with it, yes. To see his characters animated like that, I think Dickens would have just thought it was a brilliant idea.
Nowhere in this country is Dickens bigger than in Kent. He grew up partly in Chatham, where they opened the Dickens World theme park in 2007. He lived for a long time in Rochester, where the Dickens Festival draws hundreds of Victorian costumed revellers onto the streets. And he had a strong association with Broadstairs, where he lived for a while in a grand house overlooking the bay and wrote David Copperfield. There's now a museum inside the nearby home of a woman he used as the inspiration for the character Betsy Trotwood. In fact, wherever he went, Dickens had his creative eyes open. This is Wimborne Minster in Dorset. No particular association with Dickens, but inside there's strong evidence that he did visit here. Dickens travelled extensively around the south, and wherever he went, he was always on the lookout for inspiration. Dickens loved a good surname, and while on a visit here, browsing at the memorial stones inside the Minster, he found a couple of good ones. Wardle and Snodgrass, both subsequently turned up as characters in the Pickwick Papers. Humbug. No, it's true. The footsteps left by this literary master are to be found all over the south. Martin Dowse for Meridian Tonight.